With Bumblebee bringing the Transformers franchise back into the past for the first time in series history, is there a chance that this prequel could set up for another, namely a War for Cybertron movie? When the film hits theaters next month, it'll give fans of the Transformers franchise a look at the Autobots and Decepticons' home planet of Cybertron for just the second time in the film series history, and the first time since Transformers Dark of the Moon in 2011. As of right now, odds are it'll be our best look at the planet yet, as while I don't think anyone expects Bumblebee's plot to spend much time on the home planet, that scene in Dark of the Moon was a prologue that only lasted a minute and a half, and our only first-hand look at the War for Cybertron was passing shots as the ship carrying Sentinel Prime tried to escape the planet. Already, the trailer for Bumblebee makes it clear that we'll be seeing more than that this time around, as the latest trailer showed off some of the series' most iconic Autobots and Decepticons duking it out on the planet's surface, and of course, even better, they were rocking their original Generation 1 designs too. The prequel also looks like it's going to be our best look at not just the planet, but also the war. In previous installments, we only saw the war pretty much after most of it had happened, with the remaining few Decepticons and Autobots fighting it out for resources or artifacts that always just so happened to be on Earth. We know that the Autobots seem to be on the run, or at least Bumblebee is, with 3 Decepticons on his tail. Definitely something that seems to hint that the Autobot cause in the war is worse for the wear, even if it seems like the war is still raging at a level beyond what we saw in the original films. But this all kind of begs the question, could Bumblebee be laying the groundwork for a War for Cybertron movie, either happening before the events of Bumblebee, or potentially at the same time back home? And I think this has a lot going for it potentially. I mean, so far that story has only been explored in the original animated series, where the war was of course still ongoing just on our planet, or in video games like War for Cybertron and Fall of Cybertron, both of which had incredibly deep and rich stories that were critically acclaimed. While we've been hearing great things about Bumblebee so far thanks to test screenings, this could be a much more serious and nuanced movie than the franchise has ever seen. And part of that is because so far, the war has basically been two-dimensional. It's something that just happened to these characters in the past. We haven't ever really gotten any information on what exactly the Autobots stood for even, beyond what Optimus's narration has told us. It's the freedom that the Autobots are fighting for versus the tyranny that the Decepticons dream of. But how, and what does that exactly mean? It's just these things that people are saying without any context or examples behind them. You've got to think a war between mechanical beings is also probably incredibly long, and this could really easily not just be one prequel movie, but a prequel franchise or series unto itself, not unlike the Fantastic Beasts franchise for Harry Potter. But as easily as I can see some good signs pointing this way, there are also some things that I think work against the potential for this ever happening. First and foremost, counting this movie, we've already seen Cybertron twice, even if it was just pretty brief. And if we're getting an extended look at the planet and war in this movie, there's a really good chance that the studio wouldn't want to go back to it so quickly, or that they would probably more likely feel like we've seen what we needed to see of the war, because that's kind of been their stance all along. Unfortunately, it seems like Paramount only looks at Cybertron and the war as background info, basically taking a back seat to the plot involving the humans. Even though this would be an opportunity to change that, there's a good chance that Paramount just isn't interested in it because they never have been. Not to mention the fact that the budget of this movie would be significant, considering that it would be almost certainly entirely CGI, but that also paints another potential issue for the studio, the lack of recognizable faces in the cast. Obviously, Frank Welker and Peter Cullen, they're going to be voicing Megatron and Optimus respectively, but beyond that, I guess you could have a whole host of celebrity voices as cast members, but the fact that there's no, quote-unquote face, there's no Mark Wahlberg, no, I guess Josh Duhamel, no Haley Steinfeld in this film, that could give the studio pause. All in all, personally, this is something that I really hope happens. I mean, the War for Cybertron, to me, is one of the most interesting things ever that it's been touched on in the Transformers franchise, and I think seeing it on the big screen, doing it justice finally after all these years, is something that personally I want to see not just as a fan, but as a moviegoer. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think, but that's going to do it for me here. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to smash that like if you like what you saw, subscribe for more great content every single day, and consider turning on your notifications to be alerted every time we upload a new video. Signing off, this is CJ, and I'll see you next time.